Don't be surprised. This is the Mystoria Tower Hotel. It's the most dangerous hotel in the world, and you need to have a lot of guts to spend even one night here. More than 50% of people who travel here can't sleep comfortably at night because the sharks nearby and the sounds of the hotel's rusty instruments, along with the winds and stormy waves, will keep you wide awake. But what exactly do you truly think makes someone so incredibly crazy enough to actually buy an old, abandoned lighthouse and then turn it into a truly scary, haunted hotel? Well, in this video, we're going to find out. So stay with me till the end so we can see and hear the strange and terrifying stories of this hotel together. Because the Mystoria Tower Hotel isn't just a tall hotel in the middle of a remote spot in the ocean. It's actually a test for the bravest and boldest souls. So let's get to the video. The Mystoria Tower Hotel got its name from its appearance, because it looks exactly like a giant pan sitting right in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It's the craziest hotel you'll ever see in your life. This place is an adventurous destination. You'll either fall in love with it or you'll want to stay as far away as possible. And honestly, you might be right because this place is truly scary. It's completely surrounded by sharks, and there are constantly huge, nasty storms here. Plus, it's about 27 meters or 90 feet above sea level, which is as tall as a 9-story building. When the waves keep crashing into its metal supports, that height feels even scarier. Actually, this tower is built on a tall steel platform, with its base driven deep into the ocean floor. And if we want to calculate its total height from sea level, it comes to about 41 meters or 135 feet. That's as tall as a 13-story building. On top of that, this tower is about 55 kilometers or 34 miles off the coast of North Carolina, USA. The most common way to get in and out is by using a hellish boat and taking a long sea journey. Of course, helicopters are also rarely used for emergencies or for quickly transporting people or special equipment. Still, landing a helicopter on the tower's platform is a very delicate and difficult task, and it's only done when the weather conditions are favorable. If a storm hits and the power goes out, bringing in a helicopter is basically canceled. Because helicopters, especially for landing at night or in low light and foggy conditions, need electricity for lighting and communication equipment. An interesting point about the Mystoria Tower Hotel is that this structure was built right in the middle of a dangerous area, the Atlantic Graveyard, because hundreds of shipwrecks have sunk in these waters. In fact, this area is very shallow, which causes a lot of ships to hit the rocks and sink. On top of that, deadly currents and severe storms make things even worse. This tower was once a lighthouse, but after years of service, it was no longer needed, because with advances in navigation technology, ships learned how to avoid the dangers of this shallow area. Basically, GPS came along, radar came along, digital maps arrived, and sailors no longer needed a light shining in the middle of the ocean to find their way. So what was the result? Well, they no longer needed this lighthouse, and this tower was just like an old guard who had stayed awake through stormy nights for years. And now they told him, "Thanks, buddy, but you don't need to stand watch anymore." He retired at the door. Of course, this place didn't become completely abandoned. The Coast Guard came and put this place up for auction. A man named Richard Neal, a retired electrical engineer who had no experience in hotel management but wanted to do something crazy, won the auction with just $5,000. Richard says, "I just made an offer. I never thought I would win, but I did. And with a tiny amount, I became the owner of an old, rusty, and run-down lighthouse in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean." That was the beginning of an unbelievable project to turn this wreck into one of the coolest adventure spots in the world. Of course, for this to happen, a ton of equipment and tools had to make a long journey from land to sea just to reach this tower. And well, this was definitely a huge challenge, but in the end, the hotel became livable. Richard himself says that, in terms of amenities, even 1 star would be too generous for this hotel, but the view it offers, especially at night, gives you a 1,000,000,000 stars spinning above your head. In fact, since this hotel is in the middle of a pristine area with no light pollution around, its night sky is truly clear and beautiful. But when the sunlight rises, that's when the excitement really begins. Early in the morning, you have a simple breakfast, then with a hot cup of tea or coffee, you head out to the deck and play golf with special golf balls that dissolve in the water and turn into fish food. Once you've warmed up, you move on to unicycling in the middle of the sea breeze and salt, or even balancing on a slack line above the surface of the water. Slacklining is a kind of intense, modern, and risky tightrope walking where you have to walk on a stretchy fabric strap. Compared to regular tightrope walking, which you might have seen in circuses where tightrope walkers use a long pole to keep their balance on a stiff, solid metal wire, walking on the stretchy fabric strap of a slackline is much harder because you have to maintain your balance using only your body. There's no pole to help you. So, aside from slacklining, what other activities are there at this hotel? You can certainly try your hand at shooting, but instead of conventional bullets, you will be shooting regular objects. Specifically, discs meticulously made from biodegradable materials. This is a truly unique and eco-friendly fun activity where you can thoroughly enjoy yourself without ever worrying about harming our precious nature. Plus, playing soccer on a rusty platform in the middle of the sea is a really interesting and unusual experience. There's also cornhole. It's a simple and fun game where you have a slanted wooden board in front of you with a big hole in the middle, and you have to toss small bags filled with corn or sand from a distance into that hole. Still, playing cornhole at this hotel has its own unique vibe because there's just a mile of air beneath your feet and then the ocean. After that, you can go diving and play with the little fish. Of course, that's if you're lucky and the sharks don't come your way. Or if you're craving some adrenaline, you can hop on a jet ski and ride around, with the sound of the wind and waves mixing with your own joyful shouts. And what if, after all these adventures, you want to take a little break? You can sit down, have a drink, gaze at the horizon, and listen to the sound of the sea. And if you want, you can even check your emails. They've got good internet here too. All in all, this place is somewhere between paradise and madness. It's not safe nor normal, but one thing's for sure, the experience is unforgettable. With all that said, what I want to point out is that even though Richard Neal was a guy with zero experience running a hotel, what he's showing the world is that with the right mindset, a little kindness, and a whole lot of hard work, you can turn a hunk of scrap metal in the middle of the sea into one of the coolest places on Earth. Now, there are a lot of people out there who say this experience is just way too dangerous. Like, with all those storms that could hit, coming to this tower, I mean, you're literally just one step away from death. And honestly, they've got a point. I mean, what sane person would come out to a rusty tower in the middle of the sea just for fun? Especially during a storm, there really are other ways to commit suicide. But honestly, you can't deny how amazing it would be to lay your head on a pillow, with a sky full of stars above you and the sound of ocean waves below your feet. What do you think? Would you be willing to spend a night in this hotel? Be sure to let me know in the comments. This hotel, whose real name is Frying Pan Tower, is a structure that has battled fierce storms for decades, but it's still standing. When it was built in 1964, it was supposed to be an automated lighthouse that didn't need people to be there all the time and was meant to last for 50 years. That means it was expected to last until around 2014. But despite storms, rust, and the pressure of the sea, this structure is still standing and has now become an adventurous tourist destination. Of course, the tower isn't in great shape right now, and if we don't take care of it, it'll be gone soon, because this place is full of rust, and some of the beams are completely corroded. But the tower's caretakers haven't just sat around doing nothing. They constantly remove the damaged beams, weld on new ones, and reinforce the tower's structure. On the other hand, they have detailed evacuation plans for any possible storms, and guests are usually only accepted during good weather and safe seasons. In short, alongside Richard Neal, a group of volunteers and enthusiasts dedicated to saving historic structures have formed a non-profit organization called FB Tower Incorporated. Their goal is to preserve the tower, repair and reinforce it, install solar panels, set up high-speed internet, organize ecotourism trips, and overall provide safe experiences for guests by involving marine safety experts, structural engineers, and volunteer rescue teams. On top of that, the tower has a warning light at its highest point in the lantern tower, which turns green when everything is under control. But if it turns red, it means either someone has fallen into the water, someone is seriously injured, the structure of the tower is in trouble, or a storm is on the way. Basically, you could say it's a sign that things are going south. This warning system helps the rescue team respond quickly to solve the problem or carry out an emergency evacuation. In this way, Richard Neal and the team of volunteers are the beating heart of this tower, keeping life going here. What did you think? Don't forget to write in the comments whether you'd be willing to spend a night in this hotel or not. And if there's any cool topic you'd like, let us know in the comments so we can make a video about it.